Okay then, so here we are, final episode of Erased. Here we go. So the final episode gives a little recap where Hinazuki and Satoru met while he was in hospital, and she shows him her baby, Mirai. There was a bit in that which I thought was a bit weird, where Satoru and the baby sort of touched hands and the baby went straight to sleep. And that was a bit weird that, like, they had that kind of connection. That was actually the trigger for Satoru to remember all of his memories. Now, at the end of the episode, I might mention a few things about the manga, because now I've finished the anime, I can talk about, like, differences. But for now, this is going to be totally anime related. So something I wanted to point out was, in the opening, last week, Satoru was gone and missing. This week he's back, but the only thing I noticed that was different, I think, was there's a clip of the teacher in one of the scenes, and he's got full-on red eyes in that, so I think that was one of the changes made to it. So I like that attention to detail, it's fantastic, they really put their stuff in. So Satoru basically makes contact with his friends, he's talking to Kenya, saying that this is who the killer is, I've gained my memories back, it was the teacher, so now you know, we're going to have to figure out a way to kind of get him. Kenya also tells him that, do you remember that girl Miss Sato, the one that he basically called out in front of the class, the last one the teacher was about to kill? He says that she didn't hold any grudges against him, because that, in fact, she was one of the people that were trying to raise money to help him, because she was told afterwards that Satoru was trying to do these things to try and save her. So that was a nice bit of, like, tying up a few loose ends, because that was kind of like a bit of bad blood back then, but now it's been sorted. We also get to hear about how these two of his friends were influenced by the heroic deeds that he did, and they basically became the people who they are because of Satoru. Kenya became a lawyer because he wanted to help people, and obviously wanted to try and find the killer who almost murdered Satoru, and his other friend became a doctor because he wanted to help people like Satoru who were in hospital and things like that. So it just shows how much of a difference he's made with this new timeline. We get a bit more of Best Mom, because Satoru's mom has basically said that she kind of knew that he's regained his memories. He says that he wants to keep on living, he wants to grab the bull by the horns and live life. And his mom says to him that ever since you were young, you've always been living life. And she starts crying because she's so proud of him. And yeah, Best Mom Award has to go to her. She's been great from this series. We also see that Satoru thinks of Airi and basically the message that she was trying to convey to him, which was, you should always believe in people because one day you hope that they believe in you when you need it, kind of thing. So this is kind of like the philosophy of this show. Like, the overall tone, it's all about friendship, and not in like a, oh, friendship is the power we needed all along. It's more like, when he went back in time, he didn't tell anyone of his situation, he just tried to do everything by himself. Even before then, in his original timeline, he was pretty much a loner. He tried to do things by himself, he tried to become a manga artist by himself, he didn't really have any friends at his work, so that shows how much of a loner he was. But from this experience, he's gained trust in other people, and that's basically the message of this. Don't close yourself off from other people, because they can help you out in all kinds of situations and all different ways. So now we go back to the teacher who has him on the roof, and he's obviously revealed that he remembers everything, which in any other circumstance, don't ever tell your killer that you remember everything about them being a killer, because they'll probably kill you. But luckily this is one of them circumstances where they didn't. Now the teacher even like sort of says that he was trying to kind of trigger memories with him, and he was like tapping on the thing to try and like hopefully trigger some memories. The teacher's motivation, why when he got away with everything scot-free, would he come back 15 years later to meet up with Satoru and try and frame him for another murder? Because that's what he's trying to do. The reason he has him on the roof is because he plans to throw him off the roof, so it looks like he's killed himself, because he plans to murder that young girl, so it looks like Satoru killed her. Well, looks like he tried to give her a merciful death so that she wouldn't have to have her operation, and then he was going to kill himself over the guilt. So that's his plan. He says that his motivation was 15 years ago, this boy somehow knew all of his plans, and it absolutely just didn't make any sense to him. He became obsessed with wanting to know how this boy, this child, was able to thwart all his plans. Because remember, this guy has kind of like he's a very clever man, so he just doesn't understand how this has happened. Especially when Satoru, before he went into his coma, the last thing he shouted was, "I know your future." So this has probably been playing on his mind for these 15 years. Satoru himself says, these 15 years for me, they went in a flash, I was in a coma, I basically went to sleep and woke up. For you, I bet these 15 years went so slow. This is all you've been waiting for these 15 years. Satoru actually says that ever since the teacher saved Hinazuki, before he knew he was the killer obviously, he saw him as a kind of father figure because he never knew his dad, and seeing this man do such a good thing like helping this girl, the teacher filled the void in himself by being like a father figure kind of thing. And for the teacher, it was Satoru who was his void, and he was the one that was filling it. Mr. Yashiro, the teacher, even says that I completely lost the impulse to kill, basically, because you weren't around anymore. Even though he had the impulse before, he says that once you'd gone, I'd lost it. All I had was you, and now I need you to basically be awake again. We even see scenes where the teacher actually visited Satoru often. He came and he stared at him. He even like shaved him and like looked after him while he was sleeping, just hoping for the day that he would wake up again, which was odd. And it's a bit like, kind of, if you, this master plan guy, I wouldn't want to keep visiting the person that I plan on murdering somewhere down the line. It's just a bit, you know, a bit weird. Satoru proclaims that he's won this battle because he was able to save everyone that he needed to, and he even prevented the death of his mom in this new future. And the teacher's kind of like, what do you mean, killing your mom? I never planned on killing your mom. So he kind of hints at like how he knew all these things, and he kind of says a few times that this is like the third time I've lived this. I don't know if it registers with the teacher because he never really like latches on to that. So when Satoru actually tells the teacher that he needs him to be whole, in fact he has no real point of living without Satoru, the teacher actually kind of like freaks out and he starts shouting. He knocks off his glasses and he starts grabbing him, saying, no, you're wrong, which was really out of character for this calm character. I like to think that he's sort of affected him this much to be broken this long, because it has been 15 years he's been waiting for Satoru to awaken, so you can imagine how much like he's been thinking about this moment. So he's obviously got a bit, you know, obsessed. Telling the teacher that he can't live without him, Satoru actually rides off into the distance on his wheelchair to the end of the roof, attempts to throw himself off backwards, and the teacher surprisingly catches him to stop him. He tells him that, I know you wouldn't let me die because it's been 15 years, it's been a long time. Satoru even says to him that he doesn't bear him any hatred because he hasn't done any real evil to him, because he's prevented it all. He says to him that I am the only person that knows the real you. And with this sentence, this affects the teacher, and he starts crying, because the teacher was a man who basically he felt like he probably had no purpose in life. The only thrill and excitement he ever got was staging these murders, getting away with it, and all these different things. And then he finally met an opponent who was able to predict his game and even stop him, and this excited him, it thrilled him. He even says to him that he bared him no hatred in the past. So you can imagine these 15 years he's had no purpose and nothing to do. He's just waited for this moment that Satoru could wake up so he could feel this thrill again. So with Satoru gone, what else does he have in this world? And with this, after he cries, he lets go of Satoru, and Satoru falls off the side of the building. And the teacher, realising that he really doesn't have anything left to live for, he goes to throw himself off the roof. Just as he starts leaning over, he sees that Satoru is absolutely fine because there's a crash mat at the bottom, because all his friends are down there and they've planned it all. We get an awesome wink of Satoru, by the way, which is absolutely going to be the thumbnail because that was perfect. The teacher fully accepts that he's been beaten by this, steps back, looks at himself in the reflection in the water, sees the spider thread, which if you watch my manga analysis, you'll actually hear more about what the spider thread represents. So yeah, the teacher, he gets arrested. We see him getting carried away in a police car, but he has a little smirk on his face. So I kind of thought he would have thrown himself off the roof still anyway, because he still doesn't have anything to live for. But I guess this like completion kind of thing lets him go to jail as a happy man because he all got resolved, except for the fact that he still didn't find out how Satoru actually predicted all these murders and things like that. So maybe he did understand what he was trying to tell him, so he's complete knowing that. Satoru tries to explain that he is happy with the fact that even though he lost 15 years of his life, first of all, he's already lived that 15 years, so he's not really lost that much time. In this timeline, obviously he has. But he says that if 15 years of my life gone is the price I have to pay for having all my friends survive and live and gain these happy lives and be great and everything like that, then this is absolutely worth it. So it shows how unselfish he is. It's a fantastic philosophy, and I'm happy he found his resolve. What I do want to mention is the fact that he references a story that Hinazuki said to him. Hinazuki, in the past, in one of the earlier episodes, she says that she read a story, or she wrote a story, which was about the town, and basically what if Hinazuki went missing, because that was the theme of this. Hinazuki died, and this is like how the story progressed. But it wasn't about Hinazuki, it was about Satoru. Without him, the town became better, which is a shame to think of, but obviously, yeah. But that, I guess, was a bit of foreshadowing, maybe? So now we get a bit of a time skip. Satoru is basically a manga creator. He's got his own anime called Galactica Sword, The Seven Heroes, which I think are like little cameos of all his friends, like he's kind of put into a story. He's become successful, he hangs out with his friends. One thing I do want to ask is, there was a guy on a scooter, and I didn't know who that was. It actually looked like the teacher to me, but I didn't know who that was. Can you let me know in the comments, because I didn't understand that bit. I'm going to be completely honest with you, I was going to give this anime like an 8 out of 10 if it would have ended there, but it managed to bring itself up because this last shot, he's under this bridge where he was with Airi once before. Does a little Airi pose where he's got his little photo thing like this. And he's looking up and he sees the butterfly go past. And the butterfly drifts and he follows it with his little camera pose. And we see this shadowy figure in the distance comes walking towards him. It's Airi. She brushes all the snow off of that and says, "Is it okay if I take shelter with you?" And we hear an inner monologue saying, "I never stop believing," which I thought was a great way to end it. Airi x Satoru is basically confirmed there, so that's fantastic. So yes, all the characters got happy endings. Even the teacher, in a way, he kind of got a happy ending, I guess. So overall, what did I think of the anime? I thought it was fantastic. I still think it's one of my favourite animes of the year. Of all time, maybe. I basically got a list of every single anime I watch and I put little ratings next to them. I'll have to show you on a video one of the days. But things like One Punch Man is obviously a 10, and this is obviously going to get a 10 off me as well because I thought it was brilliant. Now I'm going to quickly reference a few things that I found a bit lackluster about this final episode, which was the final confrontation between the teacher and Satoru. It was a little bit not as good as I thought it would be. It's basically just a bit of banter, and then basically the teacher contemplating suicide because he gave up. I don't know, it just didn't seem like it really thematically fit with everything we've been seeing up till now. I kind of wish they spread that out a lot more longer. I wanted a bigger conversation between these two characters, but I don't know, I think that's the only thing I just didn't really enjoy too much. Now, a lot of people are upset that Hinazuki didn't end up with Satoru. I would have liked them to be together. I think in this timeline it makes sense that she moved on. I would rather have been with Kenya because, I don't know, it's like Kenya more. I don't know why this boy-girl guy got her in the end. That's the only thing I didn't like. He doesn't deserve her. If it made Hinazuki happy, she had someone, she wasn't going to wait around for 15 years, I don't blame her. Then we get Satoru and Airi. Airi isn't mentioned much in the anime compared to what is in the manga. In the manga, it makes much more sense that she's with her. I've read all the rest of the manga, and I have to say that the manga goes into much more detail, much like anything with the manga to anime adaptations. After watching this, I highly recommend that you go read the manga because there's so much more detail and so many more scenes. Don't even have to watch it from the beginning, just skip towards the end. The episode called A Spider's Thread. It tells you the backstory of the teacher, and then it goes on to see basically the rest of the manga, which is very different to the anime, I might add. Like, the showdown doesn't happen on the top of a roof, it's much different. But yeah, this has been an amazing rollercoaster ride of emotions I've experienced over these last 12 weeks. This is going to be the last after football review I make as well. I want to know what you guys thought in the comment section below. Please leave me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. I have a review channel which I'll be uploading to a lot more soon. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Catch you later. Right then guys, so recently I subscribed to Loot Crate. Specifically I subscribed to Loot Anime. They specialise in sending Loot Anime related stuff, and I thought that I'd do an unboxing for you guys and show you the kind of stuff I got. Unfortunately I'm in the future, so I've already opened it all so I know what I get. This is what the box looks like after you've turned it inside out. It's kind of like a treasure chest, which we're going to see a treasure chest worth of stuff inside. Also I'm wearing, spoiler, a t-shirt. You'll see more of that later. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Here we go. Right then, here we go. Welcome to the unboxing. First things first, let's get through this protective layer, which